Birmingham City Hall. It is Monday, July 27th, 2026, 7 p.m. For a regular City Commission meeting. Please join me in standing and citing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Baker.
Mayor Mallard.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lowe.
Here.
Commissioner Haig.
Here.
Commissioner Host is absent. Commissioner Cole.
Here.
Commissioner Kozowski.
Here.
Thank you. We move to item 3, proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, awards, appointments, resignations, and confirmations, administrations of oath, introduction of guests, and announcements. Our first announcement is regarding the primary election on Tuesday, August 1st. The City Clerk's office reminds voters that polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Did I say August 4th? I want to make sure.
You said August 4th, yes.
Okay. Early voting is available now through Sunday, August 2nd at the Bloomfield Township Library and at Waterford Oaks Activity Center. Absentee voting deadlines are as follows: by mail, request an absentee ballot by 5 p.m. on Friday, July 31st. In person, you can request an absentee ballot through 4 p.m. on Monday, August 3rd. For your convenience, absentee ballot drop boxes are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at Fire Station Number 1, that's on Adams Road, and at City Hall in the drop box behind. There's one drop box for cars pulling up, and there's another one near the door. The city's clerk's office will also be open on Saturday, August 1st from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. to assist with last-minute voter registration and absentee ballot requests. For more information about voting and upcoming elections, visit michiganmi.gov/vote or bhamgov.org/vote. Please let the record show that Commissioner Host arrived at 7:02. We also have a city staff introduction, our new ice arena manager, and we will turn to Mr. Zielinski.
Hi, I'm happy to introduce Lauren Anderson. She actually joined us back the end of April. Even though, Connie was with us for over 30 years running the ice arena, Lauren has done a fabulous job stepping in, taking the reins. She's already kind of put her own fingerprint on the ice arena, shifting the offices around and such, and it's been as seamless as you could hope. She comes to us with over 18 years of experience with an ice rink up in Alaska. She's originally from Ohio and has family in the area and moved back recently, and it was perfect timing, and we're so appreciative to have her.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, can you tell us about Alaska?
What would you like to know?
Well, I got the impression you were in the interior, but I don't know.
Actually, I was in Juneau.
Oh, okay.
In southeast Alaska. Yes, it's the state capital, for those that might not know. There's no roads in or out. It's a town of 30,000. So I started at the ice arena in 2004 as a skating instructor, moved into the recreation coordinator position, and then moved into the manager's position about 12 years. And we moved back to the Michigan area to be closer, to the Ann Arbor area to be closer to our family, aging parents, and my family's in the Cleveland area. My husband's is in Ann Arbor, and I found my way here, and I'm so excited to be here. So thank you. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Another announcement that's not on the agenda, but regarding the community house, we wanted to announce two things. Number one, the Community House Board of Directors has chosen Birmingham Public Schools to operate the Early Childhood Center there. That will be operated by them, we anticipate, independently We will merely lease space to them. More to come on that. And then the Community House Board also formed 5 committees, and we're seeking members of the public who are interested in participating and contributing to those committees. Community participation is absolutely essential here. We need all the ambassadors we can get. The 5 committees are Finance and Audit, and that's headed up by Rob Bowen, who is the former CFO of the Detroit Institute of Arts and helped bring the DIA through some pretty difficult times during the Detroit bankruptcy. We have a Development and Communications Committee, development being fundraising, and that's headed up by Ava Kirkman, who has more than a decade experience with a national consultant to nonprofits. We have the Facilities Committee, which is in charge of the building, which has gone in and really shored things up there. That's headed up by Sam Cernow, who is a local developer. He's also on the BSD board. And Kevin Denha, a local entrepreneur, also owns a lot of properties. It was interesting what we faced there. Of course, one of the first things we did was change the locks, but in addition, we found coffee makers that were on when we took possession. We found lots of lights were on. We found freezer and refrigerator walk-ins that still had food in them, and so they've been shut down, and we're shoring up the building. Another committee is Programming Committee, which will deal with things like classes. That's being headed up by Mbika Roberson, who is our school superintendent. And finally, events, special events, and that's headed up by Linda Solomon, who is a photojournalist and author and real booster for the Community House. So if you're interested on serving on any of those committees, what was the email address that I was going to finish?
Birmingham Community House at
Okay.
Gmail, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Birmingham Community House at gmail.com. If that doesn't work, you can send an email to me at cbowler@bhamgov.org. We hope to have a website up soon, but we don't right now. We don't even have our domain squared away yet. So that's it for the Community House. Next, we open the floor to the public for matters not on the agenda. We welcome public comment, limited to 3 minutes per person speaking, announced at my discretion. Beginning of the comment, we also, this is for items that are not anywhere else on the printed agenda. And so we'll go ahead and take comments.
Good evening, David Bloom, Birmingham resident. I'll start off with a question to the mayor. The comments that I am intending to make are related to sustainability. I do have some comments about the sustainability issue with the parking deck, proposed fee charges later, but some of the other comments on sustainability go beyond that. So my question for the mayor is, would you prefer me holding all of my comments until the sustainability item comes up on the agenda, specifically to the parking deck, or would you like me to make the more generalized comments now?
I'm looking around because I'm looking for, it's at the pleasure of the commission. Okay, if it's general, it's separate, says Commissioner Haig.
Yeah, we have
go on.
sustainability twice on the agenda, once for stormwater and once for the fee, so.
Yeah. So as long as it's not about stormwater or the sustainability fee, fire away.
I will hold my comments for the sustainability fee until that issue comes up. Okay, so a number I've heard is that the cost to replace all of the infrastructure in our city is $380 million. We have 5 decks, and if those needed to be replaced, it's going to cost at least $250 million. If you add those two numbers up, it's over $600 million. Then we have the community house issue where we just spent a lot of money, and it sounds like things are moving along nicely there. We have the Y issue. We have lost an assistant city manager. We've lost a police chief. We have a new fire chief. We had this room jam-packed with people complaining about Wimbledon. And I think the city manager may have too much on her plate. The city is going to have and raise a lot of money to cover these things. And I don't think we're in a sustainable situation for this community right now. And I don't know if we have all of the right horses pulling the wagon to where it needs to go. So I would encourage you to think about all of that, and we have people lining up about complaints about this and that. I'm not going to tag the city manager with the pool issue, because I think that there were other issues involved. I think that the fact that the Wimbledon thing went as far as it did is on her, unfortunately. And I just think we have a lot of things going on, and the last meeting, we spent over an hour talking about parking deck fees. And we have a lot of important things to talk about in this community. And I didn't mention Mr. Reagan's super awesome, in terms of the work that was done, report on the parking situation, which goes all the way back to planning and the planning department and all the buildings that we've allowed and how things are counted. And he's identified some serious deficits. If the information that he brought up is wrong, it should be come back and say it's wrong. But it looks like we've got some serious issues with not having enough parking, people parking in the neighborhoods. So we have a lot of things to worry about in the city. And I don't necessarily, and I'll get in my comments about the parking deck later, that are sustainability for long-term for Birmingham that I think we all need to be spending time thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If you're online, use the raise your hand function. Happy to hear from you. Seeing no further public comment, we'll move to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a vote.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I believe the city manager has a comment.
I'm waiting for you to finish. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Okay. There'll be no separate discussion of the items unless a commissioner or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered separately.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that item G has been withdrawn, will not be on the agenda. That was in error.
Item G. So whoever makes the motion should omit item G. Does anyone on the commission, would anyone on the commission like to remove any of the other items from consideration in the consent portion? No? Seeing none, anyone in the public like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Again, if you're online, use the raise your hand function. Seeing none, I would introduce or entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Approve the consent agenda with the exception of item G that has been withdrawn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hay,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolb,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lo.
Yes.
Okay, we move to item 6. That is the city manager's report. And this week, we have our monthly city manager's report.
Yes, good evening. Updates, basically, from all of the different departments and areas. So from the Baldwin Public Library, they have a couple of updates. The Youth Terrace paving project has been completed, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. It looks really nice. They talk about their usual library tours and some staffing changes and promotions. Also, there's a segment where Rebecca appeared on Fox 2 in the Lit with Sid segment on July 5th to talk about popular books and summer reading. A couple of upcoming events of interest. The Adult Battle of the Books is coming up August 6th. There's an after-hours laser tag for teens for grades 7 to 12, which is when the library's closed, so that should be fun. A story time battle at Barnum Park on Thursday, August 13th. All exciting programs that they are running right now. From the Birmingham Museum, First of all, they received a grant award for $71,000 from the Community Foundation Community Impact Grant Fund, and that is for a 2-year project in partnership with the Friends of the Rouge, basically to identify and remove invasive plants around the museum's pond, and then replace them with Michigan native plants. As part of that project, the Friends of the Rouge will also be looking at some invasive plants and native plants that can be found along the Rouge Trail, and they'll be developing an interpretive program using little QR codes that'll identify plants that are native to the area and what the indigenous people use those plants for. So that'll be coming. Also, Phase 3 of the John West Hunter Park improvements are coming up, and that will be to create the barrier-free access to the east and south sides of the pond down there. So that'll be coming up shortly. And then this month, the monthly City Hall exhibit and August Around Town article, they're highlighting a special person from Birmingham's history every month, and this month is Birmingham's first mayor, Harry Allen. He was the first municipal attorney. He and his wife, of course, built the Allen House on the site of a former brick schoolhouse. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. There'll be some displays in City Hall and also in the Around Town newsletter that goes out. From the BSD, they have numerous events that are coming up. The Birmingham Farmers Market, of course, every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. August 7th, they have another outdoor movie night featuring The Bad Guys. I don't know what that's about, but it's for kids, I'm assuming. So then we have also the Birmingham Cruise event on August 15th, which is coming up. For anybody that's interested, and they are also stating that they have a lot of volunteer opportunities on some of their committees, as the city does as well, on many of our boards and committees. From the building department, there is a monthly report that is linked through the city manager's report if you want to look at it and see all the permits that have been issued to date. Election updates, I think the mayor already touched on those, the August 4th state primary and then the November 3rd general election that are coming up. He talked about some of the deadlines. From the city manager's office, an update on the 400 East Lincoln, the project and building out that first floor, renovating that first floor space for next. There is an RFP that went out Friday, July 17th, and we are having a pre-bid meeting this week, and then all of those bids are due on August 10th at 3 p.m. Basically, that's for a design build firm that will come in, finalize the plan. We have very detailed architectural plans so far, but they need a little more work on some of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing updates that we are asking this firm, whoever's chosen, to do, and then to build out and renovate the space. So far, we have 10 different groups that are signed up for the pre-bid meeting. So I think we'll have, that doesn't mean everybody that comes to the pre-bid meeting will submit a proposal, but generally, if they attend the meeting, it's a good indication that they intend to submit a proposal. So we have a lot of bigger names and some smaller names on there, so hopefully we'll get a good selection of design build contractors that we can work with. From the communications department, we have an enhanced online crime mapping tool, which people can look at bhamgov.org/crime. And basically, we're in a 3-week soft launch period. So we've always had kind of a crime program where you can see what goes on and what locations. And this is a little bit more updated and gives a little more detail. From the Department of Public Services, we want to thank the Robert Kenning Trust for a $15,000 donation from Robert Kenning's Revocable Trust to be applied towards the improvements at Kenning Park. So that was definitely appreciated. On St. James and Kenning Park both, the updates, the city's design consultant will be attending the August 4th Parks and Rec Board meeting to present and discuss updated concept plans to get more feedback from people. Also, they'll be at the August 26th in the park concert to share some of these concepts and get further engagement. You can expect to see some proposals coming in September to the City Commission. The Booth Park Entry Plaza and Trail Improvements Project, if you remember, we got a grant award for that, so MDOT's involved. So they're still, we have received the proposals, we've reviewed them. They're doing their final review. They have to agree with who we pick for that property, so we'll probably have an answer on that shortly. From forestry, as you know, there was a substantial storm the weekend of the holiday. July 3rd was the storm. So we've had a lot of cleanup occurring as a result of that storm. That, of course, a lot of it took place over that holiday weekend. And of course, people are always concerned when trees come down or enough of a tree comes down that we have to take the whole tree. So along those lines, tree planting is also, we planted 220 trees in the spring in the right-of-ways. We're planting 250 more trees in September, mostly in parks and on other city properties, and then another 350 trees after that to bring a grand total of 800 new trees that we're going to be planting in 1 year alone. So we're all sad for the storm damage that occurs, and we are always rebuilding our urban forest. Just a brush route reminder, if you do have trees that come down or large branches on private property, you can put them out and the chipper will come. There are size restrictions on how big those branches can be, how thick the branches can be. You can't put out, say, a bush with a root ball on it or a root ball of a tree. Doesn't take that. So just check that with the Department of Public Services if anybody has any questions. From the engineering department, as you know, construction is up and running throughout town. We have multiple projects on the go right now. One of them we're going to talk about tonight, of course, with Wimbledon Phase 2. We have Wimbledon Phase 1 that is just wrapping up, other than the changes that we discussed at the last meeting. So we'll see that wrapped up hopefully here in the next month or so. We have the 2025 concrete program, the sewer rehabilitation program, the asphalt resurfacing program, Bird Phase 1B, Wimbledon Phase 2 has started up, the Cape Seal program on 4 streets, Oak, Glenhurst, Lakeside, and North Lawn. South Eaton Water Main project will be ramping up here shortly. We'll likely award that contract at the next meeting and expecting that to start in September. The North Old Woodward project is currently underway. They're working on the underground utilities. Quarton Lake dredging has begun, so that'll take a couple of weeks, and then they dredge that, and then they have to dry out all that material. And then a couple of updates on the special assessment petitions that we received. If you recall, there was 2 in question, Fairview Street, which appeared to have enough to go, had more than 50% to move forward to an improved street. That has now fallen below the 51% requirement, so they do not have enough approval amongst the neighbors to move forward to an improved street, so that will probably remain unimproved. However, on Pleasant Street from Lincoln to Maple, they do have over 51%, so it looks like that is probably going to go to an improved street. We have verified the petition and all of the signatures, so that one looks like it is going to be taken out and put in as an improved street. An update on the 14-mile road pedestrian, yes?
Can I just ask a question? And you and I had a brief conversation on it before, is once it goes to an improved road, that becomes the city's responsibility to maintain it going forward. When do we get that adjustment in the budget? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, or do we start planning for it now?
Well, we don't start paying for it now, but we do build it into our capital improvement plan, so we know if the average lifespan, depending on let's say it's a concrete road, that has the longest lifespan, we'll look at, okay, maybe we'll get 50 years out of that road, so we'll do some preventative maintenance, maybe at 20 years, and then replacement in 50 years. So it's pretty long term.
Okay.
The 14-mile road pedestrian crossing, remember we talked about potentially putting a crosswalk in. Our engineering department has met with the Road Commission of Oakland County, and they're currently taking, well, I don't think they've started yet, doing pedestrian counts because they are doing a project there in 2028. So they are studying whether a crosswalk would be warranted there, and they are willing to put one in if needed based on the pedestrian counts. From the fire department, if you remember, about 3 years ago, we approved the purchase of a new ladder truck for the fire department. It was 3 years in the making, literally. They've been building it. That's how far out they are. We're finally about to get that ladder truck. It's coming in late August or early September. There's some pictures in the report. The fire department, the fire chief and deputy chief have been out and checked it out, looked at all of the equipment. They're very excited. There's a lot of enhancements and upgrades from the ladder truck that we have now, new aerial platform features, upgraded fire pump, strong engine, pumps more water, and then we'll take the old truck and we'll use it as a reserve and backup once we get the new truck. From the HR department, we have hiring anniversaries. I usually talk about those people that have been here a long time. So we have 26 years, Pam Reed in the Treasury Department, clerical assistant. 28 years, Jen Davis in the Police Department, civilian member of the Police Department. And 36 years, Teresa Klobuchar, who used to be the treasurer and is now kind of working with us part-time. After coming back after retirement, she helps out everywhere. So thank you to all of those folks. From the Planning Department, the zoning ordinance update, you know Lucille Levine has been hired and is working right now on the existing zoning ordinance analysis and preliminary recommendations report. So they'll be putting that together. It'll be wrapped up here by the end of August. So you'll be seeing that shortly. If you recall, there was discussion at the commission about having additional methods of public engagement, as there wasn't as many people as we would have liked to have seen at their last open house. I'm pleased to announce that the planning department is having open office hours for zoning questions, zoning ordinance issues, comments, engagement that people can sign up for and have a set time and come in that works with their schedule. And they're going to have those both in the morning and afternoon time slots. Of course, there'll continue to be public events in the evenings and so on. So they can sign up for that on the city's website. And from the Environmental Sustainability Committee, there's a SEMCOG flooding task force that they are following along with, and that is basically to feed into a regional plan to control stormwater and flooding. Then there's SACRA Food Waste Advisory Committee that they're involved with. SACRA is the Oakland County, our group, right, for waste, and they're looking at doing a food waste recycling program like many cities have. We haven't had one here. They are looking into that, and I can tell you that that Nick Dupuy from the Planning Department through the Sustainability Committee is working with SACRA on a subcommittee of SACRA to look at doing that. In fact, we're convening a meeting, a government convening of food waste discussions here in Birmingham because we're one of the communities that really would like to move forward with this, and there's a couple of others. Ferndale already does something, not through SACRA, but they do it on their own. And then there's a couple of others that really want to get into that business. So just some updates on that. From the police department, as Mr. Bloom mentioned, with the retirement of Chief Gruey, we have now an interim city police chief, and that is Captain Ryan Gruey, who received that interim appointment.
Ryan, let's get his last name right.
Not Gruey.
Did I say Gruey? I'm sorry. Ryan Kearney, not Gruey. Gruey retired. Captain Ryan Kearney is coming in. I'm sorry. And I think I had mentioned that we were going to do an introduction at this meeting, but we didn't get everything done in time, so it'll be at the next meeting likely, okay? But he is the interim police chief. He's the acting police chief until we get everything finalized through the commission. And then the police open house was held this past weekend, so that's always fun. That's something that just started in the last couple of years to strengthen relationships with residents and have some more hands-on with the police department so kids can come and see what they do. And they do bike checks and car seat checks and all kinds of different events there. And then lastly, parking systems update. As you recall, we went out and we tried to issue an RFP for the Chester Garage interior design, signage, and lighting improvements project, and we only had one bidder, and it was not responsive. So we are probably going to look at rebidding that, probably at a slower time period for contractors, because maybe we're thinking the timing might not have been the best, but we'll see what happens. And then we're looking at not necessarily through just the parking department, but looking at all the elevators in the city, including the one at 400 East Lincoln and other elevators that we have around town. So we might be doing something together with the garages, elevators, and then we have elevators at the community house, we have elevators at 400 East Lincoln, and we have a couple of other ones. So that's just an update. That's basically my manager's report for this month.
Excellent.
Mr. Mayor.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Commissioner Host.
Thank you. Dr. Paul Reagan's treatise, which we all got 3 weeks ago, says that we have a deficit of 1,700 cars right now. And I share with you that was done with all the data of the last 5 years that the city has.
Commissioner Host, is this regarding the city manager's report?
Yes.
I failed to see the
Yes, it
connection.
is.
Can you make the connection?
Okay,
And then go ahead and continue.
Items for future agenda. Are you, what are you going to do with this information, or nothing at all?
Okay, you don't have to answer that. We have a point on the agenda where you can bring up items for future discussion. Okay. She made a report. We can deal with that later, okay?
Well, the reason I brought it up is it was not in the report.
Well, I don't see that it needs to be in the report. It was a communication. It could be under communications. People are free to send us whatever they want. They send us short notes. I have a note from someone saying they adored the flowers downtown. They send us long letters, medium size, all different kinds. So as far as I'm concerned, that's communication. And if you would like to address it under communications, I don't know if we put it under communications this week, but we can do that. We can certainly do that. This is not the time to discuss that report, however. Anyone else have questions for the city manager? I'm sorry, we don't quite take questions from the public on the city manager's report. I have a question on the Pleasant and Fairview. On Fairview in particular, was it a single resident who tipped the balance from majority to not? I see the assistant city engineers. Two? It was two? It was that close.
It was that close.
It was that close.
Yeah.
There was one property owner, he owns 2 of the properties on that street.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So I will note that that is a policy that we have. It's not like a hard, fast law. It's a policy we've always followed, as far as I know. That doesn't mean that the city commission could not override that and declare a necessity for an improvement there. I don't see us doing that. I just wanted to make that point, and I was curious about that. And as far as Pleasant goes, what was the percentage that was in favor of doing that?
You would have to ask Melissa. I don't remember the number. And I do know, though, that there is an attempt to extend that project even a little further south along Pleasant. I don't know if that'll be successful, but.
If we recall offhand, it was around 55 to 60%.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the city manager? Okay, thanks. Let's move on to unfinished business. We have a couple of stop signs on Wimbledon. This is now the third time that we're going to be hearing a presentation on this and being asked to decide on it. I would ask the engineering department to pick up where you left off.
Sure.
We don't need a full recap of everything that's occurred there. While I can't tell the commission what to say or do here, I do remind you that we are not traffic engineers. We are not engineering engineers. We don't design roads. It's not our job to interpret the manual that dictates where and how road signs get installed. That's why we have city staff, and that's why we have consultants. And now on this project, we have 2 different consultants weighing in and apparently giving us 2 different options. So with that, Mr. Akram.
Yep. So the last place we left off is Fleece and Vanderbrink went back to the drawing boards, and they looked at different options, basically to present to the commission. There was a few options that were spoken about, and I'm just going through here to kind of show you the slides of what was spoken about. So this was the existing pavement. As you can see on Poppleton, you have a stop sign with existing pavement, and this is what it looks like. As you can, as we've discussed, this was not something that was meeting the Michigan Manual on Uniform Traffic Control. So we're looking at different options of what we can do here. The second exhibit here, this was something that Julie with Fleece and Vanderbrink also recommended. It was pretty much putting a crosswalk with a stop sign and then a pedestrian crossing signs across Poppleton. And then we have a stop bar and a stop sign going northbound on the other side there. So this was one of the options that we talked about. Option 2B was also something that was discussed. This was almost treated like, two different intersections at Poppleton. That was something that was not recommended by our traffic consultant. And then 3A was also another one at Poppleton, which was a always stop sign with a modified North Poppleton geometry. So instead of having this existing geometry going this way, they were basically going to tee it off and make it more accessible, and you can see better coming at the intersection. But as you can see as well, this was almost treated like two intersections. You have a stop sign here, and then you also have a stop sign here, and then coming northbound and then eastbound. And then option 3B was another option that we discussed, and it was the signalized traffic signals at Poppleton. This was also not recommended because it did not meet the traffic signal warrant criteria. And then we had actual HRC was a second traffic consultant that we went to, and we basically showed them these options and said, which one do you guys like the most and which one would you recommend?
And we asked them if they had any other options.
And if they had any other options, correct. And 3C is one that they really liked. As you can see here, we have a stop bar, we have a crossing here for pedestrians. We're going to modify some of the geometry here and tee it off so it is a bit modified so that's easier for cars to view here. Wimbledon's still going to be open, so there's no stop signs across Wimbledon's. And then you have one that's coming in from northbound from Poppleton. So that was another option.
So that was one of the ones they recommended?
Yeah, Felice and Vanderbrink and HRC agreed on this option.
And then there was an alternative that they found acceptable, correct?
I'm sorry.
There was an alternative that they found acceptable.
That one was, I believe, for Warwick. There was two alternatives that they liked.
No, there was 5B.
Yeah, there's two things. First of all, remember what Julie recommended at the last meeting? She said you can either redesign the intersection. I'm going to try to put it in, a little bit more English. No offense.
No.
Engineer speak. Reconfiguring it, which will cost a little more money, redesigning it, not that much more money, which we did look into. To build it and make it a little more safer and put the stop signs where they recommended. We brought in a second opinion because there was concern at the commission that you didn't like what the first consultant found, right? So we brought in an independent one and had them look at it independently, and they completely agreed with the first consultant, which is one, best case, reconfigure the intersection a little, make it more of a T intersection. It's going to be a little safer. Well, it's going to be quite a bit safer, and it's going to be cleaner. People are going to understand it more. But if you don't want to spend the money to do this, then she would also agree with Julie's recommendation, which was to put the stop sign in on Poppleton and Warwick, and not to put it in on Wimbledon.
Okay, so a couple questions. How much more money does it cost?
Well, we actually had Nowak and Fraus, who did the designs for Wimbledon Phase 1 and 2, give us a little bit of a deep dive into this today. And it looks like it's only going to be about $1,000 in design changes per intersection and for the design work. And there's not going to be much of a change on the construction cost, because basically you put more in for sidewalk and configuration, but you put in less for the pavement because the road isn't hugely wide.
So the two acceptable to the consultants and city staff for this intersection are either 3C, but if we don't want 3C, 2A, right?
Which was the original.
Which was the original.
Correct, yeah.
Does anyone on the commission want to see either of those, 3C or 2A, right now, and have him explain anything about them, explain everything about them? Or are you sufficiently familiar with 3C and 2A?
I have a quick question about 2A.
Yep.
Would there be pedestrian crossing signs for the Wimbledon crossings? I see them labeled.
I believe they were only proposed along Poppleton, going, east and west.
Okay.
I would like to point out as well that, as we know, Wimbledon Phase 2 is underway right now. I know we've talked about this at several meetings now, but the time is now where we do need to decide, because they're getting ready to start the underground work, and if we're going to redesign those intersections, that's going to mean different water and sewer lines are going to be relocated. Like I said, there'll be longer lines for the infrastructure, but there'll be less concrete on the top, but we need to do it now. So we don't do all that infrastructure work underground and then come along and rip it up and redo it.
Okay.
So for the two intersections, it's roughly $2,000?
1,000 apiece, roughly.
So it's $2,000.
Yeah.
It's negligible. Yeah.
Right.
It's
We spent more
negligible
time
over.
talking about it then.
So, and 3C and 2A necessarily go with 5B and 5E? Or could you choose 3C and 5E? If you know what I mean.
So let me look at this right here. So you're saying 3C.
Why don't we, as long as, I want to make sure the commission is comfortable with the two options, not comfortable, that you understand the two options that were offered for Wimbledon and Poppleton, 3C and 2A. If so, we can move to 5B and 5E for the intersection of Wimbledon and Warwick. And then my question about those was, does 3C necessarily go with 5B, or could you do 3C and 5E?
Okay, I think what we're recommending, it's getting a little confusing,
Okay,
is
yeah.
redesigning both of those.
Okay.
Okay, if you redesign both of those, you do 3C and 5B.
And people get more of what they want?
More of what they want, costs $1,000 each.
Okay.
They're both very similar. If you do one, why wouldn't you do the other?
Okay, fair enough. Got it? Commissioner Host.
I was tending toward 3A and, of course, 5E. And the premise to wanting all those stop signs is Wimbledon is a cut-through and needs to have as many stop signs as we can put in place, strictly for the safety of that community. And to reconfigure north of Wimbledon, I just want to correlate it to Bloomfield Village, which is Judson Bradway's design. North of Wimbledon is designed similarly, and more or less it's saying, if you're up here, you sure better know where you're going, otherwise you're going to get lost.
Okay, let's go over the two options for Warwick.
Sure, sounds good.
The two to redesign each of the intersections?
Well, 2A, 5B and 5E. I just want to make, because those are the options you're giving us.
Those are the two at Warwick.
Right, at Warwick.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm
so
sorry.
this is the first option.
First thing to decide if we're going to redesign, spend the $2,000
Well,
first.
I think first you need to understand what
Both of them.
what they're presenting to us. If you've already studied it and there's no need to go over these, say so. Otherwise, I'm going to have them at least go over the two that they're recommending.
Yeah, so 5B was basically, teeing off the Warwick coming southbound so that it's easier visibility for cars to view when they come in at the stop sign to see across Wimbledon. You have also a modified sidewalk ramp with a pedestrian crossing so that people can cross along Warwick here. And then we're just modifying some of these driveways here. So this is kind of what it looks like for 5B. And then for 5E, it's a pedestrian crossing, but it's a stop sign for Wimbledon and no stop sign for Warwick. So people at Wimbledon would stop, but if you're coming from, and then if you're coming from eastbound Wimbledon, you can turn into Wimbledon, or I'm sorry, Warwick, or you can keep going. But if you're coming from westbound, you have to stop and allow traffic to go through before you go.
So neither of those are what was offered previously, correct?
Right, because
These are new options.
different.
Correct, because Fleece and Vandenbrink went back and talked about what additional things and what additional signage, and they looked at a little more, and then we brought in an independent consultant as well.
Yep.
So commission understands that these are both new options for this intersection, correct? Any questions on these two for engineering on the two Warwick? Okay, any comments on this intersection? No comments on this intersection. So, thank you.
I have a,
Stand by. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was hoping to hear from somebody.
go ahead.
All right, so I had a question. So Wimbledon Phase 1, we have decided to do the surface in asphalt instead of in Cape Seal. And in the Fleece and Vanderbrink report, they say, well, there's no opportunity for vertical deflection traffic calming, which I think we would
bumps.
mostly think of as speed bumps,
Bumps.
because the surface will be done in Cape Seal. Now, if that surface were instead to be done in asphalt similarly to what we are planning on doing with Phase 1, would that open up the possibility of doing some kind of speed bumps here?
I can
Hold on.
answer that.
Let's first determine, have we or have we not decided
That's what I'm going to talk
that
about first.
Phase 2 is going to be
Right now, it
asphalt?
is Cape Seal. We're obviously looking into changing that for obvious reasons because of Phase 1. We have to do a contract addendum for Wimbledon Phase 2. We have a little time because they're doing the underground stuff right now.
I
So
said
we are
if,
working.
hypothetically.
I think it's safe to say we're probably going with asphalt on Phase 2, but that's up to you guys to decide
Given that
as
the
we move
contractor
forward.
has said he won't do any work.
Exactly. So that being said, with asphalt, could you do speed bumps? Could you? Yes. We have this conversation about every 3 years?
I think the last one we had was in
Every 2
October
years, every
2022.
1 year, I don't know. Right, every time this has come up with speed bumps, it's been sent to the multimodal board studies it, and we come back with, no, we don't recommend speed bumps. So, could we do it? Yes.
Okay.
Have we looked into it before? Yes, and determined that that's not what we would want to do, but it could be done.
So did that address, you had a question, but you have a comment as well, correct?
That was mostly my question. I mean, I share the concerns about speed on Wimbledon. But I would prefer to find a way to comply with what the consultants have suggested while still providing some sort of mitigation measures to keep the families safe there. So I'm hoping that somehow I can have my cake and eat it too, and that's kind of what I'm probing around for here.
Wouldn't we all want to? Yes.
Which leads to my question is I'd like to compare and contrast options 3A and 3C. So in the table that's on page 109 numbered, I don't know where it is in the PDF, but it looks like 2A, 3A, and 3C are all, quote, recommended. 3A and 3C look like they are the exact same redesign of the intersection. And I want to know if that's true because they sure look the same. The only difference between 3A and 3C as I reviewed it, Mr. Akram, is that 3A adds the stop signs on Wimbledon. It says it's always stop control with modified geometry in the north leg, whereas 3C is minor street stop control with modified geometry in the north leg. So is that the same redesign in both 3A and 3C?
So thank you, Commissioner Teresa. 3A is a bit more than that. You have two stop signs going westbound on Wimbledon. So you're going to be stopping here, coming westbound, and then you're going to stop again at the other intersection for northbound Poppleton. And then it's the same thing coming eastbound on Wimbledon. You're going to stop for the people coming in from northbound Poppleton and then southbound Poppleton. So it's a bit more. You got two additional stops on each side, whereas in 3C, you only have northbound and southbound Poppleton stop signs.
Right.
So we're adding additional stopping.
But is the redesign of the
It's very close, I
It looks
believe.
like it's the same.
Yep, so we got, I think, the same radius that we're talking about here. So there's a 25-foot radius here, 50 and 40 radius, and I believe it's the same over here. And then-
So I understand that in 2B, you can't have always stops there because there's not space in between the stop signs.
Yep.
But it seems like 3A is, quote, technically recommended, that there is increased option for truck trailer turning movement conflicts. I don't know what percentage of the traffic on Wimbledon and our truck trailer traffic.
Right.
Once the construction is over. So I'm wondering, since 3A hasn't been, not recommended, and if it is the same construction as 3C, could we pick 3A, and if we have issues with the stop signs, take them out later? I mean, it would make the Wimbledon people extraordinarily happy to keep stop signs on Wimbledon, irrespective of speed bumps. So please compare and contrast 3A.
Would it make them twice as happy to have twice as many?
I don't know, 3A, 3C. What are the,
So when we reviewed it, we didn't dismiss this as an option that could be implemented. There is enough space to fit, I can't read it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the?
It's a
the
50
spacing?
feet.
Is it 50 feet?
Yes.
So basically, there's enough space in between there for 2 cars, so it's tight. But it does provide that stop control in advance of those crosswalks, which was one of the neighbors' concerns. So we didn't want to dismiss it outright as something we didn't recommend, but understanding the caveats associated with this, it is 2 always stop control intersections that are right next to each other, and you do introduce a potential for those vehicles to have some backup in the middle between the 2. And so that was, we didn't put that as the recommendation for the packet. In consultation with the city and the other consultant, we agreed that the option that's presented is the best option, which is concurrent with our previous recommendations. But if it's something that city so desires that they really need to have that always stop, this would be the option that you'd want to consider. If you do decide to take stop signs out, I do not recommend taking stop signs out. It can be very difficult to take stop signs out.
Why?
She suggested that if we put them in and we don't like them, to take them back out. Once the stop signs go in, it can be really difficult to take them out. People get familiar. Feedback from the neighbors. They like the stop signs. They don't want them to change. They don't want them to come
well,
out.
we see that now because they don't want to lose the stop
Exactly.
signs that they have.
Exactly.
But I like 3C, but I also think that 3A is a reasonable compromise. So I don't know how the rest of the commission feels. Also with, 5B for Wimbledon and Warwick. So 3A, 5B would be my vote.
Commissioner Hay.
I want to make a motion to approve options 3A and 5E with the exception that the notes on the drawings say that stop bars can't be painted because it's Cape Seal. The stop bars can now be painted because it's asphalt.
You said the stop bars?
The painted white stripes. It's the note in the bottom right corner.
Did you say 5E as in Ellen or B as in Bob?
3 Alpha, 5 Echo.
But the recommendation was to reconfigure both. It was, and you're not reconfiguring Wimbledon and Warwick. 5E is not the reconfigured and the T, it's 5B is the reconfiguring with the Ts.
Right, so if you're saying you want to reconfigure Wimbledon and Poppleton, that's why I asked if you meant 5B.
I think you want 3E and 5B.
No, 3A.
3A and 5.
And 5B.
Yes.
Beg your pardon, yes, 5B.
Because you want to reconfigure both of them?
Correct.
Yes.
Sharpen those corners to
Yep.
allow those stop signs and also to allow the crossings to happen, especially on Wimbledon, because to remove it at Poppleton just feels the wrong thing to do. So I'd like to see stops, and if the traffic is backing up, stop bar to stop bar, then it's doing exactly what we want it to do. It's slowing it down, and it's forcing people to actually take their time and make it safer for pedestrians and residents.
Is the motion clear to the clerk?
Yeah.
Is the motion clear to the commission?
3A and 5B?
3A and 5B.
Okay. Comment on the motion from the commission?
Yes, Commissioner Ho seconded.
I personally don't want to reconfigure either of these roads because by design, this whole area is hardly traversed other than by the residents. And, I like the village, particularly when I know where I'm going.
Were you speaking in favor of the motion or against the motion?
I will go in favor of the motion,
Okay.
but I don't think it's necessary to reconfigure Poppleton. Just
Okay.
put the stop signs up.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Members of the public, if you'd like to comment on the motion, please come up, state your name and address, and you got 3 minutes.
Hi, Cliff Rager, 541 Wimbledon, on the hot corner, if you will. First of all, I really do appreciate all the work I know had to go into all these options, right? And some of them make more sense than others. As far as the two relative to Wimbledon, our preference is 5E, simply because it's the least amount of change to the intersection. And it has a stop sign on Wimbledon, which I think would be appropriate. As far as 5B, the only concern that we have is that, is 5B up there? The only concern that we would ask that.
Sir, I'm sorry. It's important to stay close to the microphone. I don't know if you can take the microphone with you, but
I can speak.
you can point and we kind of get it.
So our concern is where the crosswalk is located, and we would ask that there would be some consideration to moving that stop crosswalk instead of bisecting our tree lawn it pretty evenly, moving it a little bit farther, I guess that's north, so that people walking across are not greeting us in our front room, and B, that it would allow for at least one car to be parked there, given the crosswalk parking rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the motion? The motion being for 3A and 5B.
Recommendations is prohibited.
Yep, come on up.
I'll be the second voice. Same address, Sally Swift, 541 Wimbledon, and my vote also is for 5E if I were allowed to vote. Again, it's the least amount of change. The whole issue pertained to the other side of Warwick with a visibility issue. And suddenly, we've been impacted and in a bit of a mess for many months on the design. Cliff did mention the fact that that sidewalk, again, runs right in the middle of where our house is. So we'll be waving to everyone as we sit in our various rooms. Secondly, it will eliminate parking, much of it. And again, this is just kind of a rough schematic, I'm guessing. It's not the actual design.
No, that's not a rough schematic.
That is?
Actual engineering design.
Okay, engineering design. And so the way we looked at it, it looks like our tree lawn's coming out 30 feet, 1 inch equals 30 feet. And so we have a tree lawn that's coming out in some aspects 30 feet. It's huge.
Well, some people consider that their property. It's not.
Well, I know
it's the right of way, but it looks to me
not.
like,
I mean, it's not our property,
looks to
but
me
we
like
take
you're
care of
getting,
it. Yeah.
You're getting a lot more.
Yeah. But anyway.
I guess some people would see that as a bonus. I guess you don't.
Well,
I want
it
to be
depends,
clear.
it depends on, okay, if there's no sidewalk there, fine and great, super. As long as it's not angled right in front of our house.
Crosswalk, nice.
It isn't.
Yeah, it's not a
Oh,
sidewalk.
Same thing, it's cement. Well, or,
Okay.
once it gets to our tree lawn, it will be cement. Correct. I guess
Are you done?
that's, my vote is for 5E.
Okay.
It's the least amount of impact, least amount of change, and I'm tired of cookie cutter streets in Birmingham, which is squaring everything off. We moved there for a reason. We like the property. We like the way it looked, and it's a massive change.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from the public? If you're online, use the raise your hand function. If you're not, or if you're in the room. You're not. Okay, we're going to bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Kozlowski.
So I have a question and a comment. One is pertaining to the parking question that they brought up. Do we have some sense of if there is space to park a car either on Wimbledon in front of the driveway, or how far north of the proposed crosswalk a car would need to be parked?
Just for record, for 5E, there is no parking allowed at all in front of their residence any longer with 5E. So that there would be posted no parking signs there. So parking would be completely eliminated.
Even our traffic.
Does that answer your question?
So my question was about this one. Was about this diagram first. 5B was, okay, so we have the sidewalk here, but we are eliminating that crosswalk that used to exist to the north, right? So formally, right, you can't park too close to a crosswalk, but now that one's gone. How far north would you need to be? Is there some, can we wave the cursor there on the diagram so we can get some sense of where parking would become legal?
So like right here, you're talking about, or right here?
North of the sidewalk, up there. Yeah, like how far north of that crossing would you need to be?
So it says here from HRC, per the Michigan Vehicle Code, parking is prohibited within an intersection and within 25 feet of a crosswalk.
25 feet?
Yep.
And an intersection.
Okay. So you'd have to be 25 feet north of the fat red bar, basically. Is that more or less?
And even then, that's the minimum, and then obviously you have to look at sight lines to see if that's even appropriate to make it that close.
Okay. So then my second thought, though, the reason that I think I might still prefer 5E is that while there is not any formal pedestrian crossing of Wimbledon at Warwick there, I know from personal experience that people do cross there. Almost nobody's going to bother walking all the way to Oxford to do that crossing, and so I think the stop sign has some value there to potentially, prevent some pedestrian conflicts there. So I would probably favor 5E, but I don't know.
We're commenting on the motion that's on the table. The motion on the table is for 3A and 5B. Are you speaking in favor of the motion or in opposition?
I am speaking in opposition to the motion because I would prefer 5E to 5B.
Okay. Commissioner Host.
Yeah, we are talking about 5E as an echo, right?
No.
The motion is 3A and 5B like boy, or Bravo, or Baker.
My original comment was
Or Birmingham.
5E, there being the discussion about reconfiguring both the intersections. Quite frankly, we could go to the first one that I had anyway, which is 5E.
I have a question.
I have a question. You seconded the motion, and now you're asking what the motion is. Could you
Well, I
explain
thought
that?
it was E as in echo. I didn't know it was B as in boy.
Would you like to retract your second?
I have a question.
Okay.
And it's either for Julie or Mark, and that is, why does that sidewalk have to go through in such a contorted way? Why couldn't it just be straight across? And I don't mean on Warwick. I mean on Warwick. Instead of it favoring Wimbledon, why can't it just go across lower, further north on Warwick?
Does the engineer understand the commissioner's question?
Yep.
You can't have a sidewalk crossing in front of the stop bar, like behind the stop bar. That's just the way you lay it out. You have to have the cars stop and then the people cross, not the people crossing before the cars stop.
I think the commissioner may be confused about the line of the road, and he's asking why the crosswalk goes like that, but actually the portion that crosses the street is straight.
So
all those other are, now it's on the...
That's through the green space.
Grass, through the green, right?
Right.
I think
So you're asking why the red sidewalk is connecting like that? Is that the question?
Right.
So it's because the sidewalk right now basically curves around there, so we have to have the
crossing, we want it shorter at the intersection. Right now, it's set really far back, and so we're redoing the intersection, so we want to do it properly and put the crosswalk at the intersection, and we have to put the stop bar behind it. And so we have to connect that sidewalk with the existing sidewalk. So in theory, you would have the sidewalk go along that new frontage, but we're not doing that. We're just connecting the proposed sidewalk to the existing sidewalk.
Does that answer the commissioner's question?
Well, on the theory that there isn't a stop sign on Warwick, why couldn't that, instead of the three-way turn on the sidewalk, why couldn't it just go straight across the street?
But there is a stop sign
There is
on
a stop sign
on Warwick.
on this.
Yes.
In this,
Yes.
So you put in the crosswalk before the car stop.
okay.
Can't do that.
Can't do
Yeah.
that. It's a bad idea.
Commissioner Hay.
I'm actually quite happy to do a friendly amendment back to the first thing I said, which was 5E, because it appears as though this is causing the parking problem. I thought there was still going to be the ability to put a car next to the driveway, but I didn't realize that wasn't there. With 5E it is, so I can actually
With
go back.
5E, there's no parking
There's no
at all.
parking with 5E at all.
No parking at all in front of their house with 5E.
But it's
Or-
not, it's not within 25 feet of an intersection, though. Of a posted
He
intersection.
said it would
Wait a
be,
minute, 5E says, so no parking signs would be needed to be posted.
right,
So
no
either of them, doesn't matter what it is then.
Right.
Either of them eliminate parking, doesn't matter. The parking's just gone, end of discussion, right?
Or in
what we're
5B,
hearing?
maybe you could go a little further north up the street, but not right at the
Now we're
intersection.
back into re-engineering it.
So, I'm going to ask, so real quick, it sounds like what we're saying is 5E, there's basically no parking for a huge radius, actually, because you have the intersection and you have the crosswalk to the north, right? That's with 5E.
right.
5B,
You get some.
the crosswalk gets moved down to the intersection. So as long as you're 25 feet north of that stop bar,
You can still park.
You
you
could
could
get parking, yeah. You have more of a chance of getting some parking with 5B.
And it makes sense to reconfigure both intersections.
It does.
Not just one.
And the thing that I do prefer about B, I mean, I'm sorry, Sally and Cliff, but I'd rather have 3 stops, 3 direction stops than 2, because it does stop someone just peeling through it. But I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible to what you got, but it sounds like in both options, the parking thing, this is actually the one that's got the most opportunity to give you something.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've given the public an opportunity to speak. We've spoken. We've asked questions of the engineers. I think it's time to take a vote on the motion. Does anybody object to taking a vote on the motion? Okay, so the motion is for 3A and 5B. Do we need a roll call?
No, you don't need one.
I think money's involved.
Well, we're not actually authorizing.
Let's just do a roll call.
Authorizing money for this.
Chairperson Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski,
yes.
Commissioner Host,
No.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes?
Commissioner Haig,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Third try.
Third try.
It's a charm.
Third's the charm.
And thank you, because
With-
now we can get the engineers to change the plans before the infrastructure work is laid
Great.
in.
And I will note that while it was not unanimous, it was nearly unanimous.
May I have one last question? Within that, it's pertinent to this. As the engineers finish that redesign, which they have to now do, can they look at any opportunity to aid the 2 residents with a location for parking a vehicle in whatever they come up with the plan? Can they please give recommendations for what they can do? Thank you. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
And would it be possible to just re-examine the angle of the sidewalk approach as well? I think that's something they're concerned about, and there might be some wiggle room there to make it just a little less.
Yep, we'll definitely look at
The
those.
parking
Thank
thing
you
is
so
not
much.
going to happen. There's no way you're going to get a parking space in there. Now, the angle of that walkway, I think that's something we can work with.
Okay, and a lot of this conversation can occur offline, outside this meeting. Our business on the agenda is done with this item, and so we will move on to Item C, resolution to approve proposed updates to schedule of fees, charges, and measures. This is the sustainability fee.
Single-family
Oh, I'm sorry.
stormwater
I'm sorry, B. Single-family stormwater management standards. A lot of unfinished business tonight. This is the second time we've seen this, correct? Third time. Well,
Might be a charm.
third time might be the charm again.
You did tell us what to do, and we did it.
Tell us what you did.
Good evening.
Let's pick up where we left off.
Let's. So, good evening. In alignment with the direction of the commission at the last meeting, staff has revised the proposed single-family stormwater ordinance. The ordinance now applies only to new single-family construction and complete teardowns and rebuilds, maintaining the requirement for the management of the first inch of stormwater on-site using a combinations of natural and constructed measures. As Birmingham continues to experience the increased frequency and intensity of the rain events, managing stormwater at its source is becoming increasingly more important, and capturing runoff where it falls aims to help reduce localized flooding, so protect water quality and lessen the burden of our storm system. So by incorporating these measures into new development, we aim to make incremental improvements over time while minimizing the impacts on existing homeowners by pertaining this to completely new family construction and tear downs and rebuilds. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance as presented, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments, wishes? Commissioner Host.
Just a comment, this is a step in the right direction. A baby step, but a step.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'd like to propose a motion to adopt an ordinance to amend Part 2 of the City Code, Chapter 114, Utilities, and to add Article 7, Single-Family Stormwater Management Standards, in order to assist in reducing the burden of unmanaged stormwater runoff in the city of Birmingham.
Second.
January 1st, 2027.
Was there a problem?
To be effective.
To be effective January 1st, 2027.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the commission?
We appreciate your efforts to make this a baby step to start.
Absolutely.
It's more than a baby step, I would say. It's a decent step.
Yeah.
And yes, congratulations and thank you very much, and thank you and congratulations to the Sustainability Committee, assuming this moves forward. Any other comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? If you're online, please use the raise your hand function. Seeing none, bring it back. Ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Mayor Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Haig.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Long.
Yes.
Commissioner Cole.
Yes.
Commissioner Host.
Yes.
Another unanimous vote. Excellent. Now we move on to the sustainability fee. Again, if you could pick up where we left off, that'd be awesome.
I might have Summer do this one too, since it looks so good.
Come on, Summer.
Yes, of course. So we met, of course, on July 13th, Nick Dupuy, Planning Director, where we discussed at length this proposed sustainability fee. Ultimately, you did send me away, and you requested that I bring back a sort of cost-benefit analysis and suggested perhaps a year one program might work to help you conceptualize what we're paying for and what we might get out of it. I built that program, and that program is represented in the table that was in the report, which is about the only new thing that was in the report. It contains 6 specific projects that I built based on what I know is either coming or what will be asked for in the 27-28 fiscal year. So the things you're seeing are things that realistically could come. Ultimately, I've got a total there for you that $371,000 is what I would expect to spend, if you will. That includes $50,000 retained to try and build that fund balance. What you get out of it is a little over 3,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent and 17,000 of gallons of stormwater per rain event. So I'm happy to discuss that. Also, while I have the floor, I might as well, since it seems to be still a bit of a misconception where the money comes from and what happens to the money once it gets paid. There was a lot of misconceptions last time about it being parking enterprise money. It is not parking enterprise money, and it actually will never commingle with parking enterprise funds. The way that all fees or all money is paid to the city of Birmingham work, it goes into account and then it goes through a process called booking, which is overseen by the Finance Treasury Department, where they then distribute those funds into the appropriate accounts. So in that booking process is where the 10-cent fee and the parking enterprise money will take their separate paths. The proposed fee and the fees generated from that proposal will never hit the parking enterprise fund. They get distributed at the time of booking. Also, it's an administrative process that the treasurer, the city treasurer, already does. There will be an extra step to determine the amount of parkers, say, in this instance, for the month of July, so that they can reconcile those figures and then do the disbursement. But it is a process that's already happening on a monthly basis. There will be one extra step. So it's not a huge administrative burden. In speaking with the treasurer and the finance director, they described it as clear and straightforward. So I thought I'd at least let you know that I did a little more digging and provided a little more clarity to you for that. But that is it. That's the summary. Everything else, all else remains the same.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have a few questions, but happy to, Commissioner Host.
Nick, let me start with, how'd you come up with $100,000 for the multimodal transportation plan update? Why do we need that?
The multimodal plan, as you may recall from previous discussions about multimodal when we were doing board, it's pushing 15 years old. And in an environment where we've updated 5 of our other master plans, I think the multimodal plan is not only for the most part completed, but it exists in an entirely different universe.
Nick, I'm going
Times
to
have
interrupt
changed.
you. The city commission directed the planning staff to work on an update to the multimodal plan. That's where it came from, correct?
Well, excuse me, Nick.
Did we not tell you to do it?
I think we've discussed it. I don't know if there was direct.
Okay.
Yes.
You've definitely discussed it and brought it up,
And
and
it
we've
was
talked about it, and he's
At our
correct.
last meeting.
It's 14 years old.
Right.
Most of them we were doing the updates.
I'm sorry to
to the
interrupt,
multimodal.
but that's
all right.
essentially what's going on here. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Cole.
I actually have questions for Aaron, not Nick.
Sure.
So I see him sitting there. Aaron, can I ask you a few questions?
What are your questions?
It's about the mechanics, how you operationalize it.
Why don't you ask the city manager?
Okay, so I would assume we have to reprogram the parking meters. We have to reprogram the garage structures and how that money's collected. I don't see anything in here. I would assume that we're not going to get that gratis from the suppliers that do that. I don't see any addressing of cost or of staff time to execute those changes. What is the burden on the staff and what is the cost to the city to execute what, while it may appear simple, has to be not simple?
Good question.
It is simpler than you would think. The cost to the city will be new stickers for all of the parking meters and putting them on the meters.
Do those meters need to be reprogrammed in any way?
Reprogrammed? No, because Park Mobile handles everything. So they, well, I shouldn't say no. Yes, they'll have to be, if you put coins in, there'll be a little bit of a change to the meter. And then for Park Mobile, it'll just automatically be shifted.
Now, those meters are all connected to the internet. That's how you do it. So to reprogram them, is it a thing where somebody has to visit each meter?
That I don't know the answer
Or do they program them over the air?
It'll be over the air. They're cellular, so there will be a software update that they'll just push out to all the meters.
Okay, thank you.
Happen overnight.
Okay. What was you had something else needed to be
Staff time and
reprogrammed.
signage costs, it's not just stickers.
Oh, the
Staff
gates?
time.
No, but
Oh, yeah, the software at the garages.
which is a different system than the parking meter. Is that anything that needs to be reprogrammed or?
It will require a software update, yes.
But again, that's a software update. It's not like
Correct.
taking the thing apart. Okay. So your estimate of the costs of those things?
Hard to say, it would be, probably a couple $1,000s for each.
Okay.
High hundreds, low thousands of dollars for each vendor.
Okay.
For the parking, for the monthly software, for the parking garage kiosk, and then the meters.
Okay, so three different places thing needs adjustment, a couple grand maybe each. Okay, does that answer your
It
question?
does. What about staff time?
It would just be pulling reports, which, we pull reports anyway, so it's just pulling the number of transactions and working with the finance department, but it's just report pulling.
And I guess this is for you, Jana, so 2-hour free parking really isn't true anymore.
No, it doesn't apply to.
Doesn't apply to the first free 2 hours in a deck.
So when they go to check out and they're there 2 hours in a minute, are we going to charge them 10 cents?
2 hours in a minute?
Yeah,
Yep.
you get charged for an hour.
Not a minute.
charge them
But if you are
$30
2
and
hours or under, no 10 cents, no
No
charge.
fee at all, it's free.
So
And if
then
you're
I
in
got a question
If you're
going
in
back
for a minute over 2 hours, and I don't know if there's a grace, but let's say you're beyond.
8 minutes, I thought.
Whatever grace period. No grace period on the 2 hours?
In the garage for the-
Okay, so what do you get charged for if you're in for 2 hours and 10
As soon
minutes?
as it's 2 hours and 1 minute, you're 1 second over, it's $2.
$2, so now it would be $2.10, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do, but I'm organizing them.
Okay, well, I'm sure there are other questions. I have a couple questions. Very interesting to see these action items. You did these in conjunction with the Sustainability Board, or did you come up with these on your own without their input?
I came up with these on my own. I researched, I usually try to stick to academic or government sources, and I found
Okay.
suitable numbers and
That's good.
applied them.
And so we did address the multimodal plan, 50% of fall tree planting. You mentioned in your manager's report, tree plantings.
250 plus 350.
So we're spending $600,000.
Well, that wasn't a dollar amount, that was the number of trees.
Oh, how many dollars do we spend in a year on trees?
This year,
This
we've
year.
spent more than any, I don't know the exact number. I'm going to, 300,000?
300,000. And we do most of them in the fall, so if 50% is 100,000, 100% of the fall would be 200,000, and then maybe some. So
I'm guessing.
So we spend
right? I'm
a lot
estimating.
on
We do
trees.
spend a lot on trees,
we
yes.
spend a lot on trees, and this is only covering half of the trees in the fall, nothing in the spring.
And if I may, we don't really have to guess. For the number that I used,
Yeah.
I got the invoice from DPS for the fall 2025 planting,
Yeah.
which was $197,000.
Yeah, it was more, though.
So we're doing more this year, so we of course
Right,
adjust.
Right, so
that-
we're not, now, key question. Assuming we think that we're doing this because we want to advance the sustainability agenda, right? And the plan. If we don't allocate this money and we decide we want to do this stuff, where does the money come from?
Well, I'd like to be honest and just suggest to you that I'm going to ask for general fund monies. Wherever grants are possible, I'd like to make sure to highlight that, of course, we'll be seeking grant money.
No matter
But-
what?
No matter what, with or without this, but wherever we can supplement with grants, we would, but ultimately, it'd be a general fund money ask.
Okay.
That's how our budget works, Jen.
Sir, yes.
So one of the questions I had, several of us commented at the last discussion of this topic that we wanted to get contributions to support the city's efforts from visitors. I don't know that this isolates visitors, and I think the majority of the burden will fall on residents, and they're already paying. So I would ask the question, where there's already a pricing structure in place that identifies visitors versus residents, the golf courses, isn't that just as simple?
Well, I would argue, well, first of all, may I? Sure. Okay, because you're addressing the question to the chair. The chair's going to say, where do you get those numbers? I mean, I'm a resident, and I park in the decks a lot, and I'm always less than 2 hours. It's rare that I'm more than 2 hours. I don't think there's any basis for making the assertion that it's going to fall on residents more than visitors. And it's going to fall on the people who are using cars. So it isn't about whether you're a resident or not a resident. If I don't want to pay the dime because I'm a resident, I can walk. I can ride my bicycle, I can ride my scooter. There's a million ways I can get into town and not drive. I'm not sure 10 cents is going to deter me, change my behavior, but the fact is I'm going to pay the fee if I'm using a vehicle that causes the emissions that we're trying to mitigate or counteract. So whether it's on residents or visitors, was there ever in your formulation of this, let's put this on visitors as opposed to residents, or was it?
Not as a separate item. I think part of the draw was that using a method like this, you can capture visitor emissions and generate a fee from those visitors. I'm not sure of another mechanism that we could take advantage of something like that.
But it wasn't to say what we do here with this sustainability fee should exempt residents.
No, and I would suggest.
Are you suggesting
that,
we should exempt residents? That's a new concept to me.
No, what was discussed, as I recall, what was discussed at the last meeting is some of the intent was, we're going to push forward with our sustainability agenda, and non-residents should help contribute towards that effort. And I think my opinion is, and I have very little data to back it up, but my opinion is we're going to be, I think, adding, and I know we don't like the word, but a tax to residents more than we do to visitors.
Not a tax. Is it a tax?
Not a tax. And
We feel it's not a tax.
Consumption fee, whatever you
A
want.
couple of things. One, we did not say it's to hit the visitors. I think most of the people, it's to hit the people that are using the cars and parking downtown and putting carbon dioxide into the air, okay? That's who it's for. But ironically, I think it's the opposite, because I think most of the people that use the structures are going to be visitors, people, whether they're coming to work or they're coming for lunch or whatever. Residents have a lot more options to get to in close proximity to downtown. And so I think, on the other hand, you're also for instance, in your example of the trees, you're hitting residents less if you can take this out of the fee for sustainability for people, like, let's say 80% of them are from out of town. You're not taking it out of the general fund. That means that there's more money in the pot for residents to decide how they want their general fund money used.
Right, exactly. That was going to be my point, that you heard Mr. Dupuis say that if we don't pass this fund and he still wants to move forward with the sustainability agenda projects, which the commission has supported in theory, then he would ask for funds from the general fund, which means it's entirely and exclusively on the backs of residents. This way, it is not exclusively on the backs of residents. It is a fee charge for every car that comes in and parks at some location, whether it's a deck for more than 2 hours, or a meter, or a monthly parking pass, or through valet, to help equalize the cost amongst users of the city. It's the only way to do it, to get people who are non-taxpayers to help contribute to the sustainability agenda.
Commissioner Hay.
You kind of knocked some holes in your own argument when you talked about riding your scooter into town. Does it have a catalytic converter?
I think it does.
Not all of them do.
Well, I think mine
And
does.
motorbikes, and none of them pay for parking. And that's where we get a bunch of visitors. And then, so how do we exempt electric vehicles? Because under the premise that it's pollution-creating vehicles, well, apparently EVs create no pollution at all, is what I'm told. I don't believe a word of it.
Don't.
But so how do we exempt them?
Exempt who?
Electric vehicles, because this is to make sure, well, we're putting in chargers, because apparently chargers makes the world better. It's on the list, although there's no business case behind it. and there is no municipal business case for charges, by the way.
If you will, he wants to, you can hold it until he's done.
That's fine.
But yes, to a certain degree of sustainability. But this is not even a rounding error in sustainability impact. Literally not even touching it compared to everything around us and elsewhere. So it's one thing to say we wish to do this, but is this really the right thing to do economically? Because to my colleague's point, we talked about how do we not put any burden on residents and how do we push this onto people that come into town, because I asked the question last time and it looks as though the numbers actually even went up from the last time, but it was something like, what was it, 9 million visits or something, some wild number was in here this time. Yeah, 9.4 million visits, 1.8 million visitors. I think that's even higher than the last time.
It is, I corrected it because Erica Bassett came up and noted a mistake.
So that's an awful lot of visitors, and there's only 21,000 of us, and about half of them are kids that don't have driver's licenses. So I'm trying to understand where we push the burden away from residents. Now, I agree with the Mayor Pro Tem that we don't want to actually push it into the general fund, which is purely a resident basis. But is there a better mousetrap? I don't know if there's a better mousetrap, but I don't feel convinced by this yet. I just don't. Because we also haven't figured out the overall structure inside the parking system, and Commissioner Kozlowski and I both asked about the fees when we were doing the budget, and you said you would like to see a committee that looks at fees. So knowing that we already have that as a potential agenda item to address parking fees, among others, this is an incomplete argument. It also doesn't generate a business case behind some of the things like EV charging or Eagle air quality sensors, and it doesn't show anything other than year one. Where's the 5-year plan? We do 3 5-year plans for budget purposes. This is a 1-year plan. I don't see
He gave
the
us
next
what we
steps.
asked for, in his defense.
That's fine, but I'm just saying, this is inconsistent with the other requests that we as a commission generate on an annual basis that we look at in the future for long-term planning. There is no long-term planning in here. This is incomplete at this time. So, are we prepared to really jump into something that is incomplete, doesn't have sufficient business cases between some points of this, and really doesn't have an economic sustainability for us? This is just a feel-good. Truly, it's a feel-good. Brutal as that sounds, but we have an economic question mark behind a lot of other things, including the fund that is going to be the vehicle for how the fee gets assessed. Questions to ask ourselves.
You had a comment, or you wanted to say something? If not...
Well, a few things now, if that's all right. It would seem strange to me to do a 5-year output when I don't even know if I'm going to have this money. As a part of the budgeting process at the last meeting, I explained to you that as a part of the budget, we would be doing this work. I don't know why I would do it in advance of even having the funds. It seems like a bit of a foolish exercise. Not foolish in that it's not useful, but foolish in I'm not even sure if it's going to be coming. The EV comment is something we did talk about because a lot is focused on carbon emissions, but I want to draw your attention back to the other negative externalities, of vehicles, which is, for example, the infrastructure dedicated to those vehicles and the stormwater issues that they present. So I think that's where we can hang our hat in charging EVs the same fee as we do for internal combustion engines. There are other externalities other than carbon.
Commissioner Host.
By the way, this kind of reminds me of the fiasco of asking the library for some of their millage. The point is, I think we're asking entities, or in this case, enterprises that have money, and this is the primary one, to give up a little bit of it. And I would counter with, this is an enterprise, and we don't know how many millions we need We don't have a 5-year plan for parking. We don't have a CIP. We don't even have a progressive maintenance plan for the whole enterprise. And so I also take exception with Mr. Dupree saying it's a novel idea and it's creative. Yeah, and you feel that it's a good thing. Well, I'm on the other side, Nick. I feel this is totally wrong. I love sustainability, and I'd love to have it out of the general budget. I should preface that comment.
Can I just clarify again? This is not a proposition to take money out of the parking enterprise fund. It's not taking parking dollars. It's not coming out of the enterprise fund. It is not. It's a new fee generated on a parking transaction. It is not taking, let's say, parking.
Okay, we got it.
Okay. I don't know how many more times to say it.
So I still broadly think this is a good idea. I'm not sure. I tried to jot down some of the objections. I think maybe I didn't quite fully grasp all of them. I think we kind of discussed the issues with the burden falling on residents. To me, it feels like I want to see this stuff happen. And if the alternative is it comes out of the general fund, well, that's, the vast majority of that money is property taxes from residents. So that feels like a surefire way to increase the proportion of this money that residents have to pay. So I feel like this is superior on that front. As far as not making a dent, obviously the problem is big, right? They call it global warming. But I feel like, yeah, we could do 20 cents or 30 cents or 40 cents, I suppose. But it's not, I guess I'm not sure what the alternatives are in a lot of these situations. Commissioner Host had said, well, just take it out of the general fund. And I'm saying, well, I respect that. I would prefer to do it this way. I think that it, as we had noted, charges drivers, and drivers create more emissions than people who walk or cycle or something. And so that is the straight line that we are trying to draw between those who sort of incur the costs and those who contribute to the mitigation. So those are my feelings. And as far as, we don't have plans for parking or capital improvement plan, I'm happy to take a look at those things. I think having those kinds of long-range planning things are a good idea. But I think, I thought we had all kind of agreed that 10 cents is just not a big number here, that most people are never going to notice this amount. And I don't think that a 10-cent fee here is going to meaningfully impact our ability to do those things. If we want to do a capital improvement plan, and if it turns out we need to revisit parking pricing, I don't think this precludes us from doing that at all. I think that we can absolutely still do those things, and we should do those things. But I think this is, we want to do the sustainability stuff. What's the best way to fund it? I think this is a great way to fund at least part of it. I think that it puts the costs where they should be, and so I am in favor of it.
I want to, there's no point in talking about this anymore if we don't have 4 commissioners who are in favor of it.
I'm not.
Oh. And if, we don't need a long conversation anymore, because I don't see any point in going any further. If he's against it, he's against it, and you said it's not worth doing, then...
In the vehicle that it is right
look,
now.
you're either in favor of this tonight, or we just drop it. It's on you, I guess. I mean, I think it's a great start. I think you got to start somewhere. You can't keep saying nothing, this is a drop in the bucket. There's a lot of start here. And I commend Nick and the city for bringing this forward. I think if we agree that sustainability is important, you say put it in the pay out of the general fund. Fine, we'll pay out of the general fund. But don't say that we're not putting it on the residents. This nonsense about putting it on the residents by creating a sustainability fee takes it off of the residents. If we care, I think we ought to just put it on the people who park, whether they're residents or not. But My point right now is either I think he's in favor of it, she's in favor of it, I'm in favor of it. If you're not, you're the only vote. Let's just end it. Let's just table it, put it away, come back another day.
All I was going to say is, I'm not arguing about the 10 cents. I agree with you, 10 cents is not going to be noticed by the vast majority. What I think we need to do is have a more complete plan. This is an incomplete plan. Now, I understand Nick's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get it.
We have a
Why would I-
sustainability plan. And he did what we asked. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? Tell him
Five-year
what you
plan.
want him, you want a 5-year plan? Can you do a 5-year plan?
Show us what's going to happen, because right now, one of those is a one-time expense. In fact, two of those is a one-time
There's a
expense.
question on the table for the staff. Can you do a 5-year plan?
I can do it. I think that I respectfully, I would be a little tired of getting strung along for any more. But what I was worried about last time was this not being good enough, and it appears to not be good enough.
Again.
So I don't know if a 5-year plan is going
Is
to
a
be good
5-year
enough.
plan going to be good enough?
A 10-year
Do you
plan's
want to
gonna be
help
good
him
enough.
draw up a 5-year plan offline?
If he wants to ask me, fine, but within a
That's acceptable to you?
within a 5-year plan, it's not just. So I actually wanted to bring this up as items for a future discussion, but I've asked repeatedly for an economic sustainability plan, and we've had crickets, because we need an economic sustainability.
Let's
So
talk
if
about that
that's-
another
Well,
time.
wait, that's the incompleteness of the plan. Sustainability is more than just one hat. This is only wearing one hat. So my question really is, if this is the vehicle that is the only vehicle that can be used, is it complete enough to meet all the requirements that we, as a city, have?
It's
I
not the
don't
only
think
vehicle. It's one vehicle.
But this appears to be the only one that's on the table that's been brought to us with
General
any kind
fund
of...
is on the table.
No, that's resident only.
Well,
That's going towards the residents for the economic sustainability that I've asked for. So what I'm looking for here is, don't just pin your hat on one thing. Sustainability is more than just one buzzword. It's being looked at as one buzzword only. It's far greater than that. It's a bigger picture. So where I'm actually going is 10 cents actually enough to cover the entire picture? Because this is only one slice of it. I don't see the rest of the picture that helps us as residents support 9.5 million visits a year. I don't see it. This doesn't support us as residents. Therefore, it is an incomplete plan. And if the plan turns out to be, here's a 5-year projection that has green sustainability, economic sustainability, support for city services that are generated because of the need to support 9.5 million visitors, and that fee turns into 25 cents, I don't care if it's 25 cents.
Great. I move that we appoint you a one-man subcommittee to work with the staff and lead. Okay?
But-
Instead of knocking it down, lead, create whatever plan it is that is a 5-year plan that will satisfy you and get your vote. That's what we're talking about here. It's got 3 votes. There's only 6 of us. We need your vote.
I have an issue with what Commissioner Haig is asking this plan to do. He said broadly that we need to develop a sustainability plan to support 9.5 million visitors in the city. This is for environmental projects. Whether you believe that having visitors downtown or not is a good idea, and there have been many people who do not agree. We have heard, oh my heavens, it costs us tax money for policing, and they drive on the roads and so forth. It also, visitors are what make our downtown help with our tax base. If we don't want visitors downtown, we can shutter all the businesses and shutter all the residents, and then we don't generate any revenue, and our houses are all worth less. So I have an issue with where Commissioner Haig is trying to take this argument, which is not what this plan was designed to do. It was designed to provide initial funding for some sustainability projects related to CO2 cars driving into the city, as many other cities have done in London and other, in the UK and other places, charging them for the CO2 burden that they put on the city for smog. We're not talking about whether you are philosophically in support of or opposed having visitors in the downtown. We are a city. things come with being a city. And yes, we should have what you're calling an economic sustainability plan, as in a budget that meets our current and future needs, but I don't think that should be conflated with this. That is not what is on the table here.
I'm also, it's worth saying one more time, that I'm legally bound by Bolt versus Lansing to spend this money for a very prescribed reason. I cannot spend it on, they're not letting me spend it on anything
Thank you.
else.
We understand that. That's going over ground we've already covered. Look, we need his vote, all right? And whatever he's talking about, all things are connected in the world. I believe that. I agree with you. Everything's connected. And the more you become familiar with all these things, the more you realize how much they're connected. But sometimes you just have to move ahead on pieces. But I think that if Commissioner Haig sits down with Mr. Dupuy and the city manager and hammers out whatever is necessary that is acceptable to them and gets his vote, that's what should happen. And perhaps everybody will learn something in the process. Now, that's how I propose moving forward. Or just drop it, forget it, and let them come back to us and ask for $371,000 out of the general fund and put it all on residents, which is where apparently some people think it ought to be. Those are the options, to me. Does anybody have any other options?
It wouldn't be 371, it'd be 271, because 100's in the budget already.
Okay.
Just to be pedantic.
All right, but if it's a quarter, and bless
I'm
you,
perfectly happy
bless
to
you,
try that
I want to
process
see a
you
quarter.
suggest.
I think it's 25 cents. I think it's $1 million a year, and that will put a bigger dent.
I am perfectly happy to see what we can do, and if it is a fee that is split into 2 fees, 3 fees under different names, whatever it may be, fine. I want to see a more global approach. And
You can
not
discuss that
one
with them.
track. And I'm fine with doing
okay?
that. I will spend that time.
I'm happy to look at the output of such a report.
Yeah, I'm worried about the burden on the city manager and the staff who already have plenty of other stuff on their plate.
We got to work this out. This is a couple-hour meeting. If you can't do it in one meeting, this is leadership. It's leadership. It's getting in there, hammering out the issues, figuring it out. In fact, I would say you should be able to do it in 1 hour.
I think it's mission creep.
Do you want to get this thing done, or you want to just drop it? Yes, sir.
A comment. I think what you're attempting to do is a good idea. However, to have a budget or a 5-year plan for sustainability is a good idea, but it has nothing to do with the parking enterprise, in my opinion.
Okay, it doesn't, but whatever.
I'm prepared to do what you
say it's
suggested.
okay, you're okay with it.
I'm prepared to do what you suggested.
Okay.
We can take our best shot at it. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So let's
Well,
do that.
Great. It's a
Table it
challenge.
until we've
It's a
got that
challenge at all.
done.
Lead, all of you, lead. Can we set it aside? There's no
You
motion.
don't have to take
We're not
any
taking
action
public
tonight,
comment.
no.
Okay,
And
good.
if Commissioner Haig has agreed to do that, we'll see what we can do.
So we can move on to new business. A very interesting public hearing for confirmation of the role for the South Eaton Water Main Project, Water Laterals, Special Assessment District Role 923. This is a public hearing. So at 8:47 PM, we open the public hearing, and staff, Ryan.
Good evening. Ryan Katz, Deputy Treasurer. Tonight, we recommend the adoption of the resolution before you confirming Special Assessment District Role Number 923, South Eaton Water Main Project Water Laterals, defraying the cost over a 5-year period at an interest rate of 7.75%. The hearing of necessity was approved on July 13th, and notices were sent out as shown in the report. Thank you.
Excellent. If you're in the room and you'd like to make a comment on this, it's a public hearing. Now's the time. Please approach the microphone. If you're online and you'd like to make a comment on this public hearing regarding confirmation of the role for the South Eaton Water Main Project Water Laterals, please use the raise your hand function. Seeing no comments from the public, we're going to close the public hearing at 8:48 p.m. and bring it back to the commission. Are there any commission comments or questions or a motion? Commissioner Hay.
Make a motion if everybody wants.
Okay, let's consult with the city attorney to determine the extent to which
You
you
can
would need
reference
to
page
read.
numbers since there's no objections.
Okay, thanks.
It's a short one to read, and then the page number, I'll just let it do the rest
Okay,
of
all
it.
right.
So, make a motion adopting a resolution confirming special assessment rolls 923 as follows. Whereas special assessment roll designated roll number 923 has been heretofore prepared for collection, and whereas notice was given pursuant to section 94-7 of the City Code to each owner or party in interest of the property to be assessed, and whereas the Commission has deemed it practicable to cause payment of the cost thereof to be made after the time of construction, and whereas the Commission Resolution 07-182-26 provided it would meet this 27th day of July 2026 for the sole purpose of reviewing the assessment roll, and whereas a said hearing heard this July 27, 2026, all those property owners or their representative present have been given an opportunity to be heard specifically concerning costs appearing in said special assessment roll. Now therefore be it resolved that special assessment roll number 923 be in all things ratified and confirmed, and that the city clerk be and is hereby instructed to endorse said roll, showing the date of confirmation thereof, and to certify said assessment roll to the city treasurer for collection at or near the time of construction of the improvement. Be it further resolved that the special assessment shall be payable in 5 payments as provided in section 94-10 of the Code of the City of Birmingham, with an annual interest rate of 7.75% on all unpaid instalments. Sidwell number, street address, and estimated water SAD costs are as tabulated on page 152 of the entire printed package, at least I have.
Second.
Comments from the commission? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kolb,
Yes.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we move to an item that is on every single agenda that we have. It's called Commission Items for Future Discussion. This is an opportunity for commissioners to bring up items that they would like to discuss in the future. A motion is required to bring up the item for future discussion at the next reasonable agenda. No discussion on the topic, generally, not a lot of discussion, maybe some discussion, will happen tonight. Does anyone have any items they would like to bring up? Commissioner Haig.
I did have 6, I've got 5 now.
6?
They're short. I've been saving them up for weeks.
Better take notes.
All right. First, the recent issues we had on the night of the pool party showed that it appears as though our police department is kind of on the ragged edge, maybe that's a bad way of saying it, is on the limit of staffing for multiple incidents happening simultaneously. I would like to discuss adding at least one more patrol officer head to the staff, and any adjustments to budget that are necessary for that. Also thinking about the fact that one assistant city manager left, so it changed the forecasted budget that we had for the next several years anyway. So that was one of them.
Second.
So this is a 3-part thing, right? This is just to bring it back. Next time, you will be able to expound more fully on your idea, at which point the city staff might respond, and then we decide whether to move it forward for another, right? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. That's number 1.
Who's opposed?
1 down. Opposed?
Opposed because I think that we are treading on the city manager's purview for staffing and staffing requests.
Okay.
All right, next one. So actually, there's a couple of them here that are PD related, but the second one is I would like to see us look at shutting down Old Woodward to vehicular traffic on Friday and Saturday nights at, say, 10 p.m. through midnight, so that we can help control downtown a little bit easier and make it generally more strategically advantageous for us to manage the traffic issues that move off Big Woodward into downtown. We own that street. The research I did was that because that's not an MDOT controlled street, we have the authority to do that. So I would like to look at having that be a temporary zone.
Give us the
I would like to a motion from something like 10 p.m. through midnight, Friday, Saturday nights, to allow the police to be able to manage people, traffic, noise, whatever else it may be.
I suppose we'd have to hear from the police.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to go into this, but that's why we don't discuss it at step one.
Right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm going to entertain brief commentary. I should have allowed your comment before the vote, but any comments on that motion? Brief, one sentence?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A friend of mine was on the corner of Old Woodward and Merrill at 11:45 on a Saturday night, and the line for Zana was all the way over to 220.
Okay.
The line to get in.
Popular business, I guess. Must be on social media. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? One. Commissioner Long is opposed.
No, I was with.
She was just
you were
late.
with- Okay. Unanimous.
Whoa.
Imagine that.
All right, next one.
Two down. I'm doing
Very
hash
similar
marks.
theme. Along the same theme, curfew.
Whoa.
City of Detroit puts curfews in for certain age groups. I would like to see us do similar because realistically, after about 10 p.m., if you're 16 years old, 17 years old, you're not allowed to be driving anyway. So, and there's nothing out there that's open for a 16, 17, 18-year-old at that time of night because it's all bars that are serving alcohol. They're not the patrons that are in there. Again, this is looking at having been out there at night, watching, and also just listening. There are a lot of teens that are milling around that can cause issues. So again, if we can control it in the same way that other cities have set the precedent for, I would just like to look at, can we do that, and does it make sense for us to have that?
Was there a particular age group you were targeting?
I was just thinking 16 on up, 16, 18-year-olds, just because...
14-year-old could be out, but a 16-year-old...
Well, all right.
And then up to 21,
Should
because they
say,
can't drink
whatever it
until
is,
21?
so 16 and under, 18 and under, however we wish to do it. Sorry, I was going the wrong way around.
Can we even do 18? 18 is legally an adult. I don't think you can.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
17 and 364 days.
Yeah.
But it's my impression that the city of Detroit only does that for specific events, like they brought it out for fireworks.
They'll impose it on weekends.
My impression is that curfews are a pretty serious, infringement of personal liberties that must be
I would-
used very,
I would like
very
the city attorney to weigh in.
cautiously, sparingly,
Yep. Yeah.
but
You would like me to weigh in again?
Could we just get a report from our brand new interim police chief on incidents? Like how many incidents have we had with teenagers downtown?
yeah, it sounds like a
I'd be interested to
solution
know
in
if
search of
there's
a
is this, I haven't anecdotally heard anything, but I haven't seen any data one way or the other. Maybe it's a bigger problem than I think it is. But I'd be interested to see a number if we have something.
What do we do when the community house has a dance and it goes until 11?
And I think some of the ice cream shops are open later, there are, and coffee houses.
We have a motion and a second.
I think it's worth discussing.
Yeah, I think it's worth discussing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry.
All right.
I just think you're putting a lot on our plate. That one just really...
It's all right. The one that is off the list, I talked about economic sustainability. That's fine. I don't know if this is one we really need to talk about or if it's just an observation about what AI tools can we use for paperwork, because at work we just got access to 4 different large language models, rather powerful ones, and I've been using them for the last week in preparation of RFQs, requirements for RFQs, and it's taken One of them took 3 days
Let's
of
make the
work and
motion.
condensed it.
Let's
So
make the
it's,
motion.
well, is it a motion or is it a question that I don't know. I'm using the example of where it saved a lot of time and energy. And we generate a lot of paperwork as a municipality, so is there a way of actually being much more efficient? Because I've found in the last week how much more efficient I became between last week and this week.
Okay, it is a.
If it's emotionable or if it's just a
I don't know
request.
if it's a tool that the city commission needs. It's like telling them what pencils to use. I mean, that's a really stupid.
That's why I asked. So,
But
all right.
that's my opinion. And honestly, I've used AI in things that I've done to, with the city. You could do it.
I do.
And they're being very cautious, but they're using it, I think. Would you like to give a brief?
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. We have an AI committee, so we look at all of these tools and we look at guidelines for how we use them, but we absolutely use them.
All right.
In fact, that RFP,
Can you give us one example of
the
how
RFP that
you-
just went out for the design build of 400 East Lincoln.
Okay.
We used AI.
To help.
I put in a rough guideline and then I went
It's
to
okay,
AI.
that's exactly what I used it for this week, and it took
Yeah.
an RFP I did a week ago, I did in a day.
Yeah.
As opposed to a week.
Exactly.
I had a
So-
day last week where I ended the day early thinking I wasn't very productive, and I produced full legal documents that day. Not related to the
That's
city.
why I wasn't
But
sure
it's
if it was
crazy.
emotionable. Yeah, if it's
We
used the
use
right
it
way.
in many different ways. We use it for letters that go out. We use it for reports sometimes. We use it for RFPs.
It's okay.
We
That's
use
why I
it for
wasn't sure
job
if it was
description.
emotionable or if it was just a discussion item. As long as they're being used and introduced appropriately, because it's not a be-all and end-all, it's not a replacement. It is definitely an adjunct.
But
that
it's
needs
an
to be checked.
efficiency issue.
But yeah, it's enormously efficient.
But I agree, and I think we need to, whether it's at the table or in, offline, keep the pressure on, because we use it more than they might, and we need to tell them when there are new features. We have certain people here who aren't really great with computers.
And we have a lot of people who geek out on this stuff.
Yeah, so.
Trust me.
All right,
So anyway, that's fine. We can move on from that one. The last one. I've been watching a lot of things that are going on with this Sheets development of 14 Mile, that Kroger that's going on the other side of the bridge as well. And I asked about this a while ago because we did have a traffic study for South Eaton, but that was conducted before the Sheets construction site was awarded. My concern is that Royal Oak did not take any account of anything that was a hair outside of their city boundaries, and my fear is that when the traffic volume changes dramatically on Kroger, Sheets, 14 Mile, and we actually have to direct traffic from Maple because of the bridge height down to 14 Mile for the bridge height for oversized vehicles anyway. I would like to see a traffic study reworked for South Eaton to understand what the impact of those two construction projects is going to be, because I don't feel as though we have an accurate view. I do strongly believe that a lot of traffic is going to start using South Eaton as a cut-through. I know it's used as a cut-through today. I've got a friend of mine told me he's been using it as a cut-through for where he lives to get back from work. All the construction he has to go through, that's literally the straightest line he can take. He doesn't normally do it. So that's the motionable request.
So again, this is another thing where I think if you have a conversation with her offline,
it's a cost
and
thing.
Exactly what you just said.
It's a cost thing, though.
And see if they want to do it. And if they agree, it's done. I mean, it's not an item we have to discuss and vote on and all that.
Well, you don't understand where I'm going with it.
Well, it shouldn't be that big a deal. It's an item you should be able to tell us what it is you want to discuss. So you want to discuss ordering the city to do a traffic study on.
I want to find out if they view value in doing it, because I have concerns that the traffic studies are insufficient based off recent events.
Again, I think that's something you could approach the city manager offline and say, hey, I think we ought to do a traffic study on South Eaton for A, B, C, and D reasons. And if she says no, goes, whatever, then you can bring it to us and say we should order her to do that.
Just so you know, this is the second time I've asked.
Okay, did she, okay, so.
It was discussed here at this table.
It was. We discussed it and we didn't have any progress because we didn't have any data. I'd made the observation previously that Royal Oak did theirs without taking account of what it would do to Birmingham. So this is the second time.
How can you study it until the places are open?
How do you do traffic projections?
I don't know, is it a thing we want to spend time and money on? All those, is there a
Sorry, can
second? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? I don't want to, we're just dumping so much stuff on them. Okay, I'll vote in favor, just to stay on your good side. and at least have the set step 2, okay? You got 3 out of 6 or 4
that was
4 out of 5, 3 out of 5?
That was the 6 out of the 5.
No.
When I only wrote down 4 and
I
one of
only
them
have 4.
scratched.
Yeah, I have
He
5.
adding one head.
I have
PD
5 too
shutting
scratched
Woodwood,
out. I have
PD
5
curfew,
too.
economic sustainability we took care of, AI tools wasn't emotionable, and then South Eaton traffic, that was 6.
Oh, AI.
Anybody else?
This
We
is
got plenty
very
of time. We got 3 more hours.
This is hopefully a short one.
Go ahead.
Okay, and again, I don't even know if we need a motion on this. But I would like an update to the timeline on the parking garage capital projects. They've been going on for a while. I think there were some estimates that they'd be done like this year, maybe next year. But we added some scope. I think some things didn't go quite the way we expected. So I would just like an updated timeline on where we think that's going to fall.
Okay, an updated timeline, and then to the point that was made earlier that we don't have a capital improvement plan for the parking garages, that is not true. We have a very full capital improvement plan for what we need to do to what garage and what year and how much it's going to cost. But we can give you an updated timeline. That's what you're asking.
So you don't need a second?
If it's not, if
We don't
the city
need to
manager feels like
do
it's
the
not a
3-step.
motion,
No, I don't think you need it for that. We can get you, we have a capital improvement plan for our parking structures, and we have a timeline, and we can probably update it. It probably needs to be updated.
great.
Super.
Okay. Commissioner Host.
I'd like to have us discuss the supply and demand of the current parking system.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay, hearing no second, that motion dies for
I'll
lack of
second
a
it.
second. Well,
I didn't know.
I wasn't sure if there was quantification, you were punting.
I think we thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, I thought you were finished
like
as
you were
well.
going to say something.
no, I'm speechless.
Good.
I'm
For a
speechless.
change.
Okay, I'll allow the second. When somebody says, that's my motion, that's his motion. I'm just sitting here. What do you want me to do? Is there a second? There's a second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. We're going to talk about supply and demand. That should be pretty simple. We know how many spots we have, and we know how many are occupied, right? Okay. In fact, we may not even need a step 2 on that. You can just tell us what the supply is and what the demand is, right?
Yes, we
Okay,
can do that.
thank you. Anybody else? Commission items for future discussion. Wow, we just put a few things on your plate. Well, now that everything else is done, right? You don't have to worry about community health.
Okay.
All right, commission items, discussion on items from a prior meeting, bringing board and committee reviews to the city commission. Okay, so that is my item, and all I would say is that, again, there are occasions, do you have anything you want? There are occasions when an advisory board is asked to consider something, they consider it, and then their decision is to make no recommendation. Well, they're an advisory board to us, and I think the fact that they were asked to consider it and the fact that they declined to make a recommendation is worth bringing to the commission because they're advisory to us. So the most recent example that I'm aware of that caught my eye, that raised my eyebrows, was that the parking committee was asked about pricing. They just declined to make any change, and we never heard a thing about it. So I don't know what step 2 looks like or what step 3 would look like or what. I just think it's probably a policy thing, process, whatever. Certainly if we said, or did we? Did they review pricing because we asked them to?
No, I think they did it on their own.
Okay,
But to
because
your
I know
point-
for many times I have asked that it be done, and apparently it was done, and there may be other things. There may be things that the community brings to a board. So, for example, a member of the public is going to ask the Greenwood Cemetery Board to amend their policy on refunds, okay? And he brought it to me, and I said, hey, do me a favor, make sure that comes to us, because if they say no, we should know that a community member, and likewise, if a community member comes to the multimodal board and asks for a stop sign, or not that I want to get into stop signs, okay, or somebody goes to the Parks and Rec board and says, hey, I have an idea for a great improvement it would only cost this much, and I'm willing to donate this, and they say, no thanks. They're advisory, it should come to us. So, that's it.
Well, I think to narrow it a little further, like the parking situation is a little different because that's to do with parking rates,
Right.
which goes into budgeting and funding, and that's clearly within the purview of the city
Right,
commission.
and it involves income, expenses, sometimes income, sometimes expenses, budgeting, all that stuff.
It's basic P&L.
And that's our responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Host?
Two comments. I like the way you talk about this. Why? Because in the flow chart, all these advisory boards report directly to the commission. They don't report to the city manager. Secondly, we met with the parking committee, I believe last December, was it December before last? Help me, which December was it?
It's been a while.
I recommend that they join us for a joint meeting or a workshop to discuss all of this, the parking rates.
Okay, that's another thing. That's not part of what I'm talking about, but, who knows?
So tell you what, because I'm on board with what you're saying. Succinct, what is your goal to take this to the third step?
Well, that was my question to the city manager. I did say, I don't know what, is it just direction to you that this is a policy? Do we need to put it on some piece of paper somewhere? Or did we just, was the parking thing just a misstep? I don't think it was a misstep.
No, it wasn't a misstep. I think that's a loaded question, frankly, because every last thing that they talk about, do you want it to come here, and how do you want it? That's why I tried to narrow the field to if
money?
it's something to do with money.
Okay.
Like, as you
Well,
remember with the
that's a good
multimodal
start.
board, remember we took the funding issue, which took that off of the burden off of them, because it ultimately comes here. So maybe that's a way to handle the parking rates, for instance. Nobody said the APC reports to me, they don't. They go and they do their own thing, and they have the staff liaison, which is Aaron, who has to build a relationship with them, but at the same time, he reports to me, and the commission makes a decision. So for funding, we have an example there that we did with the multimodal, where we kind of took that funding off their plate and put it where it truly belongs, which is at the commission. So that's maybe something to start with. And Alex has her hand up back there. I don't know.
A lot of the minor issues are also digested in the boards that produce an annual report, like GCAP. So GCAP has an annual report. A lot of the information on the decisions and opinions that they have are included and summarized in that report, so we don't have to bog you guys down with more work.
With every little thing, but you could pick off funding.
Right, you could say that if it's involved with money, it should come to us for sure.
I mean, that's just the example that you gave, but I think.
Are we going to a step 3, or is this sufficient? Is a bunch of people nodding their heads?
Enough?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that Mr. Ford could be directed to apprise you, and it could apprise us. It could go in the manager's report. It could just be a city staff report in the back of the agenda that on this date they discussed this item and declined to move forward, and then.
Well, on the pricing thing, I want to know what was proposed.
Right.
And whether they kicked it around, whether there were, and then we should make the decision. It shouldn't just be a report that they declined it. It should be,
Right.
okay, they declined to raise rates. You guys want to raise rates?
And my point was also, do you change the ordinance?
Yes. That's something you could bring, maybe you come back to us with each board and the kind of decisions they make and whether this is a question for the Greenwood Cemetery Board, or is that a question for us? Anything involving money, is it a question for the particular board? So
Well, that's going to take some time because we have, 25 different boards? But if you're talking about
there's some that
this
don't
one.
ever deal with money, okay? The BZA, the planning board, they don't,
I'm trying to narrow it down a little bit
and I
to
think
address
you
your
can.
specific concern.
Okay. Let's discuss it offline further, I think, unless anybody has any ideas.
You have a comment.
I just
Commissioner.
wanted to make the comment about the APC.
Yeah.
And so when the issue of raising rates came to pass, it was done, the parking director met with the planning director, and they just were talking about the sustainability fee. And so it was, went to the APC together as a joint.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, we started with it being a percentage?
Yes, and it was a much higher figure than the commission was talking about tonight. And I think what happened was, once the sustainability fee became an issue with the rate increase that was part of it, but really the focus then really became on the sustainability fee. So the fact of the rate issue, to be fair, that was part and parcel to the original plan, and then when the sustainability fee came back at a much smaller rate, that's what the APC focused on, not rates. So to be fair to them, they really didn't have a discussion on rates. They really were trying to work together with the planning director and to get a sustainability fee.
I think there's a legitimate question about who should be in charge of the revenue on what is now a $10 million a year enterprise. And I feel way more comfortable with the city manager, the city commission, the finance director, and the parking manager, who, there's financial, there's also policy, there's all sorts of expertise there, and all respect to the parking board. I'm not sure that's the expertise is there to deal with those questions. I mean, they may be able to weigh in on them, but I'd sure like to know, like, who's weighing in, what the arguments are, where they're coming, like, is this argument made by somebody who's an expert in the field of whatever they're talking
I think,
about?
and even there was some discussion earlier on the commission tonight, the APC does have a capital improvement program. I can show you, it is out to the 29-30 physical years as to what money's supposed to be going into the parking system.
Did somebody say that we didn't have that?
Yes.
Who?
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Commission.
And a CIP is not 5 years, Mark.
No, it's 6 usually.
Oh, well, I said 29-30, it's 20, well, maybe I'm off a year.
I can do the math. No.
Yeah, so my point is, I think the parking system itself is being run better now than we've, and obviously I have a lot of historical experience with this. We've made huge progress. Could we be better? Sure. Anything can be better. But I think in fairness to the APC, to the parking department, we've really come a long way in the parking world.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Okay, I just
We're
want to
getting
make
a
sure
little
we all.
off the topic, but I think we're good. We'll talk. If you come back, you'll come back. Fair enough? Okay. All right. So we have nothing removed from the consent agenda. We have communications regarding Wimbledon, Flock, noise on Willits and Bates. And I got this nice little card addressed to Mayor Birmingham from 615 Griswold, Detroit. That is the Ford building, and it says thank you. And it says, your flowers are so beautiful and well-maintained and bring joy to some of us who appreciate flowers. Thank you for providing a walkable, social downtown with a ton of restaurants and shops to supplement the experience. Happiness to you and your staff. I thought that was nice.
We always appreciate.
Pretty much
letters.
anonymous. It's signed, it looks like somebody.
It's
named Cal.
anonymous?
Well, if you can figure out what that is, but there's no, no. But the city manager said, well, it's nice to hear, get some positive feedback, right? Okay, we have commissioner reports, any? Commissioner comments, any? Advisory boards, commissioners, committees, commission reports, legislation, city staff, Wimbledon Phase 1 project update.
Well, there isn't really anything new since the last meeting when we talked about this. So the engineering department has been meeting with the general contractor for Wimbledon Phase 1 and the new sub, which will be Al's Paving, to try to work it into their schedule. So they're trying to do that. Remember, Al's Paving is putting us in the middle of their construction schedule that was already laid out. So we're working with them. So we have put out to the residents we'll give you as much notice as we can, but it's not going to be likely a 30 or 60 day notice. It's likely hey, we've got a space, we finished up early, we can do it next week.
Okay, and a short-term rental report?
Yeah, there's not much to report there either. Just we've issued 3 new violations for rental property owners. And these were long-term rentals for failing to obtain a license before April 15th. We're continuing to go through Airbnb and VRBO and similar sites to look for non-licensed properties. And Nick is continuing to discuss changes to the ordinance with regard to short-term rentals, and they're proposing a public hearing on August 12th. So if the planning board makes a recommendation, then it would come to you likely in September.
Okay, I note that their hearing is going to omit the Central Business District and the Rail District. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
That has been what their discussion was, and their recommendation to you appears to be leaning in that direction. You can take it or leave it.
Right. I watched that meeting and took copious notes, or actually it was 2 meetings, but that was the final one. And they had concerns about, especially in the downtown, using the mechanism that we are suggesting they use, which is the Supreme Court decision about commercial activity in residential areas, that it would not apply in the mixed use or the downtown district because those are not residentially zoned. And so if our city attorneys have a different opinion, they weren't at the meeting to say so, that is something that we could consider when it gets to us, but that is the basis for their decision, is that the Supreme Court decision was commercial activity in a residentially zoned district. And so they've applied it to all of the residentially zoned districts, but left it out of the downtown overlay and the mixed-use rail. And there was not universal agreement about the mixed use. Some people felt maybe it should be split into sections because part of it has some residential, but they were concerned about splitting hairs and having exemptions, slowing down the process to get things done on the timeline we want them done. And they're going to tell us when it gets to us that this is their initial recommendation, but they are asking for permission to study exemptions for, homeowners, residentially homeowners like Ms. Sobelton, which they've left out of the first one in the interest of time, and fine-tuning the rail district to see whether they would need to look at zoning districts to make that legal precedent applicable in that area. So I think that they did a decent job for the first pass. Lots of very passionate discussion, but that is the basis of what they have set for their public hearing.
So my question would be, by doing the public hearing and omitting those, then we couldn't move forward with those. Alternatively, could they do a public hearing that includes both those districts in the public hearing, and then after the public hearing, say, well, we don't think those districts should be included, so here's our recommendation is to exclude them. Seems to me they've made the decision to exclude them, period.
At this time. Now, remember, you can go less restrictive, but not more restrictive. And remember, the only
That's my
required.
point. That is my
But
point.
the only required public hearing, because we have a planning board, not a planning commission, is at the city commission. So when you decide to set a public hearing, you guys can have that conversation and decide if you want to advertise it to be more restrictive. And have the discussion.
More restricted.
And have the discussion at your
Okay,
public.
does everybody on the commission understand what she's saying?
Yes.
Because it's important, because we said, no exceptions, we said across the board, and they're saying, well, we're going to do a public hearing and we're going to exclude these two districts. Now, we could add them later, but I don't understand why they wouldn't
Because they
include
don't
them.
agree, that is not going to be their recommendation by the sounds of it. Now, they are split, but I don't think.
How are they split? 6-1 or 4-3?
It's closer.
Yeah, it's a little
4-3 maybe.
And what is your opinion on this, whether a mixed-use district is at all residential?
Well, it's not exclusively
I'm
residential.
asking her.
Sorry.
My opinion is to, and you're putting me in a particular spot
Well, you can
here.
say, I haven't researched
No,
it
I do
thoroughly.
have an opinion. It's just whether this is the right forum for me to share that or not. My opinion would be to look at the individual use of the actual property. So if in the mixed-use district, if you have residential properties, I think that you could zone them as you would in a residential zoning. So ignore the labels of the zoning districts and look at the individual use of the
Interesting.
properties.
That would apply then for downtown, because I think several were concerned about regulating in a district where there were hotels.
So you were going down the right pathway that my mind was on. Your observation, our original opinion was 0, but then you specifically said we start at nothing and then we work on each piece individually because there will be circumstances. But I think to your question, perhaps we do have the public hearing as it's a blanket with the proviso that we will be working on specifics in this and this particular areas. But I think we need to start as make it simple. But if we notify the public and we notify everybody, there are still open items. It meets the intent and it doesn't become outside of the criteria that we're allowed to work within. We are recognizing that, right? We just don't have an answer for it yet. But we recognize there's still work to be done.
Right.
So
I mean, it still
legally,
has
it's
to come
not.
before you.
Legally, it's still a defensible position because it's still technically incomplete.
Absolutely, until you.
The problem is sometimes we don't pay real close attention. Even you might not be paying close. All of a sudden, this thing is in the agenda. It comes up and it's in our agenda.
You get to set the public hearing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
We might miss it, so you need to be ever vigilant as this thing comes forward to make sure that when we set the public hearing,
It's broad enough for your liking.
right.
Okay.
Commissioner Host.
On a lighter note, last Friday in the New York Post, with lots of pictures, huge article about the pool party, in case you want to go to the tabloids.
New York Post had about our pool party in Michigan?
Yes.
Lots
of pictures.
It's got widespread.
Oh, good, great. So with regard to reports, has any commissioner received any reports whatsoever from residents?
We have a
about
hand up
short-term
online, by the way. I don't know if that. We have a hand up online, by the way. I don't know how long it's been up. I just noticed it.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Excellent. Well, Travis Bouchard. Travis?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. We just noticed your hand.
Sorry, Travis.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, it's been raised since the Wimbledon portion.
Sorry.
Long time.
So, don't need to rehash that whole discussion, but I did want to point out that the traffic consultant's report was assuming that we were still Cape Seal, the Phase 2 portion. So, first question for the commission, wanted to get clarification because that topic was discussed and agreed upon in a prior meeting, but that was a closed session, and I didn't see any confirmation of whether that asphalt was going to.
You're breaking up a little there, Travis. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so we did discuss the likelihood that Phase 2 will be asphalt. We did discuss the possibility that we would put, what do you call them? What is the non-English name for those?
Speed bumps?
Yeah, but there was
Vertical speed.
Vertical deflection?
Vertical speed deflection.
vertical speed deflection devices, otherwise known as speed bumps. And that we would probably discuss that at a later date. And we did select items, hold on, or not items. If you have a copy of the agenda, correct me if I'm wrong.
3A.
3A and
5B.
B like boy, as the options for those two intersections.
Okay, great, thank you. So that would be the four-way stop with the modified north side.
Yes.
2 modified
Yeah,
intersections.
all-way stops.
Yeah. Thank
You're welcome. Come by anytime. We love to have visitors.
And put your hand up.
All right. So I had asked if any commissioners had received any reports of any issues with short-term rentals. And I would say that if you do, you should bring them up at this portion of the meeting each time so that we're fully aware of what everybody knows. Okay? Fair enough? Okay, good. How did we do, sir? Entertaining?
Sure.
Great.
Evening.
Would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
I don't think I have standing.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.